Yep, it's recording. Okay. Hi, my name is Samuel Creveling, and this is my video presentation on non-renewable fossil fuels. So when I started approaching this problem, my main focus was the solution and the major problem. And for me, the solution was electric cars. Since the vehicle industry and transportation industry is such a high industry in today's economy, and everyone goes around using their cars every single day, I felt like that was the number one problem that we could find a solution for the easiest out of everything that is producing greenhouse gases. So when I was looking at electric cars and in my interviews, I was focusing my questions around that and the problem of mining fossil fuels. So for the start of my presentation, I'm going to play my interviews, and then after that, I will give you my research that I found on the topic. So let me share my screen. There we go. Stop the video, and then I will play the interviews.
One of Christopher Poe. Also known as Connor, with the increasing global climate and the increase in temperature around the world, do you think that electric vehicles are a good deterrent to the increase in temperature around the world?
So I think that gas-powered and diesel-powered vehicles emit a lot of emissions into the sky, which is detrimental to the atmosphere. And that is what causes climate change. It causes the weather to be warmer in the summer and colder in the winter abnormally from what it is now. I think electric vehicles are the answer to this as far as they don't produce emissions. They're more cost-effective as far as creating electricity through natural resources such as solar and hydropower. And I believe that this is the step moving forward to reduce the emissions and not fix the damage in the atmosphere, but to dramatically reduce its damage.
Would you say that electric vehicles will help curve the current environment?
Yes. I think electric vehicles are the next step forward in technology as far as reducing the impacts that emissions have on the climate.
Do you think that electric vehicles will be the future and there will be no longer gas and diesel powered vehicles?
Yes. So with Elon Musk's Tesla line coming out as a stylish, new, almost hip thing to be a part of, I think that they are going to soon take over, especially when you look at the vehicles that are already electric now. So for example, Ford is coming out with an electric truck that has the same amount of horsepower and torque as the gas-powered engines. And when it boils down to it, people are going to go with electric because it's cheaper and it has the same benefits as gas and diesel-powered engines. I think this is moving forward. We're going to adopt this new idea. I think that it's going to be a new trend. I think that actually more people are going to be able to drive because the vehicles will become cheaper to make, they'll be cheaper to buy, and I think more people will travel with them, and it's going to have a better impact on the environment than currently.
Do you think with the new electric vehicles coming out, the industry of coal mining and the dangers it has with it will come to an end?
I think that as electric vehicles begin to take shape, I think that coal mining and gas production will go down, but I don't think it will go down everywhere in the world. So for example, third world countries that are dependent on coal and petroleum products, I think they will continue to maintain them as far as they'll maintain producing petroleum and oil and coal because a lot of other things such as plastics are made from these types. But I think that as more developed countries such as the United States goes on, there'll be less of a need for petroleum, coal, and oil. I think that the car industry right now is leading the way in that manufacturing of non-renewable resources. And I think that in the more developed countries, we will see a decline in those and essentially taking those resources. But I don't think in the third world countries, it will decline as much because they're so dependent on them.
So with the world turning towards technology in their vehicles and other industries, do you think that the United States and other countries, their literacy rate and their just overall smarts in their country, do you think that will go up as more and more jobs require a technological background?
Yes, I think that education will increase as more jobs become specialized. So going back to the electric cars, it takes a certain kind of person to be able to develop these electric cars, to be able to develop the new technology used within the cars. And in order to get that, you're going to have to be educated in some sense. We can see it now as far as the amount of people that went to college in the 1940s has dramatically gone up. In that time, the 1940s, everything was based off of just straight manufacturing. You had Ford that was just pumping out cars that all you had to do was one specific thing. That's not the case anymore with technology increasing. I mean, even the smartphone, for example, requires some sort of education to even run it, not let alone build it. So I think that as moving forward, more and more people are going to need to be educated to get a significant job in the United States. I think that employers are going to be looking for people who understand that education is important. They're looking for people that want that drive to want to move forward, better themselves, and to increase themselves within the job opportunity.
Okay. Let's see. Any other questions? Can I pause this?
Okay, so next we're going to listen to a recent graduate of James Madison University by the name of Mr. Muhammad Omar. He goes in to talk about electric cars and the curve that it could have on the environmental effects.
In an interview with Muhammad Omar. All right, so how do you feel about electric cars?
I think they're great for the environment, and I think they are a cheaper alternative to gas cars. And I think they're the future.
With the rising global temperature and emissions that are being produced by gas and diesel engines, do you think that electric cars will help curb the environment's, or I guess the humans' footprint on the environment?
Yeah, absolutely. I think cars is like the main transportation, so like that's a lot of emissions that we're emitting to the climate. So I think if we could decrease anything in our like daily habits, it would be our like way of transportation.
I'm just going to pause it right there. Mr. Omar makes a great point in saying that if we needed to decrease emissions in anything, it would be transportation. This is because it's something everyone does, again, and it's essential in our modern day economy. According to the United States Department of Transportation Federal Highway Administration, the average person drives around 13,500 miles per year, which is a lot of gas and diesel and a lot of fossil fuels. So this just shows how much time and resources humans use per year for transportation and expending fossil fuels, which again are not renewable and are not good for the environment. So let's continue on with his interview.
With coal mining and other type of fossil fuel extraction, and if we eliminated, I guess, the gas and diesel vehicles, do you think that the electric car industry will be able to curb the dent that the unemployment rate would have if we eliminated gas and diesel?
Wait, what does it have to do with unemployment?
So with the elimination of like gas and diesel vehicles, there's going to be a large shock in the industry of vehicles and a lot of unemployment from those.
Like people in those,
do you
like
think,
a co-worker?
yeah.
Okay.
Do you think that the electric car industry will be able to
Nah,
retain
I'm not
workers?
sure, to be honest, because just with technology and everything, a lot of like manufacturing cars now is like a lot of it's like robotic and stuff. So like even that industry doesn't need that many people. So I don't know. I honestly think it will hurt a lot of people's employment
And do you
in
think
those industries.
since it's the fact that technology requires a higher, I guess, IQ and everything, do you think that with an increase in technology in our daily lives and everything, that the literacy rate in our country and in many other countries do you think they will continue to rise, or do you think they will stay the same?
Are they rising right now?
From 1940 to about now, our literacy rate has improved, and the overall smartness of the economy has gone up.
with technology, absolutely, because little kids at an early age have to like interact. They're interacting with like iPads and all these apps and stuff, so they're like reading and they're playing games that require reading and talking and texting, communicating. So I think the future is bright for literacy.
Do you think that employers, well, we already can see that employers are requiring more and more technology background. Do you think that's going to continue with the trend?
Yeah, I think the way like the world is going, I think it's gonna be like a standard now. It's not even gonna be like something that is sought after. It's just something that's expected.
Okay. What else do you think humans can do to lower our global footprint on the world's non-economy environment?
I think a good way is just keeping it in public eye, just informing people, educating yourself and others on the subject. And honestly, a lot of it has to be, unfortunately, like political. So if you really want to impact the environment, you're gonna have to make some votes for the right people.
So in both of those interviews, Mr. Amar and Mr. Poe talk about technology quite a bit. We talk about technology. And fossil fuel is not anything that's been changing at all. It's improved in ways of the engine, fuel economy, but down to the nitty gritty, it has not changed. So back in 1885, when gasoline became the leading fuel for motorized vehicles, that was a huge improvement at the time. But that was 1885, and we're now in the year of 2020, where we can have things run by batteries and solar power and wind power and hydropower. It is not only sad that we're still back in 1885 when gasoline was the leading fuel, but it's also had huge ill effects on our environment that has honestly become way too much for Mother Earth and has started to create an unhealthy environment for many animals in the world around us. Because when we burn these fossil fuels, we're releasing toxins into our atmosphere and creating the global warming we know today. So in our last interview, which is quite short, we'll be talking to Miss Quinn about some of the same things.
Kelsey Quinn. So Kelsey, how do you feel about the new electric cars and vehicles?
I think that electric cars is a new trend and they're a great alternative to gas and diesel vehicles. They're also very good for the environment.
Okay. So talking about the environment, tell me how you think that the electric vehicles will help with fossil fuel problems.
Well, with the involvement of more efficient energy sources like wind, air, and solar, we're leaving a smaller and smaller print on the Earth and reducing the world's rising temperature and water.
Okay. Different question. So it's very well known that coal miners work in a very hard industry and their safety is a very large concern to the public. And they're known as one of the worst industries to work in. So how do you feel about their safety in general?
I believe that it's absurd that coal miners are still working in such horrible conditions. The America I know shouldn't subjugate workers to such conditions where there's such a high possibility of death and other health issues.
Okay, so what do you think we can do to kind of get rid of our dependence on fossil fuels?
I think we're on the right track by innovating our cars for one, as well as making the public aware of the growing issues in our world.
Do you think that America is on the right
Well, I should just stop it right there. So with those 3 interviews, we saw a lot of technology being talked about. We talked about how the Earth is being really, really affected in ill ways and just completely negative. So I kind of wanted to bring it back to how the extraction of fossil fuels happens. So fossil fuels can either be extracted gas, liquid, or solid form. And the 2 main methods today are either from the ground, so mining and drilling. And so mining is for solid fuels like coal by like digging, scraping, and exposing a lot of buried resources. And drilling is the way that we extract liquid and gaseous fossil fuels that are forced to the surface to flow by using large drills. So both of these processes carry a lot of serious health and environmental impacts in the earth. When we start extracting these fuels, the machines that dig them up generate a lot of hazardous material, and that material is thrown up into our atmosphere and also can end up in our community's water supply and can get many people sick. And it doesn't even stop there. When we transport it, there are a lot of serious things that could happen, including spills and explosions. And I think that this is just way too high of a cost to be playing with, not even mentioning our planet's health, just talking about humans themselves. According to NASA, global climate change has already had observable effects on the environment. Glaciers have shrunk, ice on rivers and lakes are breaking up earlier, plant and animal ranges have shifted, and trees are flowering sooner. So just with that, we can see that humans are leaving such a large impact on the earth that is turning itself out of balance. And animals can see it, vegetation can see it. And it's only been up till recently that humans have really started to look at it. The scientific community have been looking at this for years and years, but it's been such a political thing that it hasn't really been brought up to the forefront and acted on. So with my presentation, I really hoped that I really hammered that home. And again, according to NASA, they believe that the global temperature on the Earth are just going to continue to rise because of these greenhouse gases if we don't do something about it. And we really need to start making the change. And for me, that change is the electric car and focusing on non-renewable resources. So thank you so much for watching. And I hope that this was easily seen, and I hope it did justice to our Earth. So thank you so much.